one of my absolute passions is to help people not only manage their finances well, but actually build wealth for your family. And just yesterday, I was listening to a podcast, and it was saying how a lot of people think that in order to build wealth, you have to have come from wealth or inherited. But only 4% of people that are actually wealthy actually inherited the wealth. And something that was common, 79% of millionaires came from poverty or came from an environment, lack of knowledge regarding finances. So it is very, it's easily attainable. I won't say easily, it's going to take a lot of discipline. And that is the whole purpose of today, is to give you the tools so that you can steward your current finances, and as your income builds, that you actually start generating wealth. So again, you guys don't know me, but I'm a CPA, owner of the Smart Accountant, which is my accounting practice, which is right around the corner. And my husband and I, we are debt-free outside of our mortgage, but hopefully one day that's going to be paid off. We both graduated from college debt-free as well. Our stories are a little bit different, but combined, it's really powerful. So this is a very short story. My college experience, I went to college right out of high school, 17, 18, and my parents funded, my first, really they funded the whole thing. My entire tuition cost was about $65,000, including my room and board. But when I tell you, I worked hard to get scholarships. I literally paid, and I applied for every single scholarship that I got my hands on, whether it was $500,000, $1,500. I had a few big ones like $5,000, but I literally applied for everything. I had a calendar of scholarship due dates. So I'd have my exams. This is due, homework sessions. But then I'd also have those scholarships, and because of that, because I was really intentional, I was able to help my parents fund my education. My husband, on the other hand, he went back to school when he was an adult. Full-time dad, he had 3 kids, full-time husband, pastor, working. So his story was a little bit different. Okay, at this point, parents are like, we're not paying for your school. You need to do it yourself. So what we did, and he went to DBU. DBU is a private Christian school, so the tuition for a 4-year degree is like $125,000. And we literally cut our expenses, lived off of one income, and he was able to graduate debt-free as well. So 2 different scenarios, but both with a common goal that we both ended college debt-free. And a lot of people think that you have to get student loans, and that's really not the case. Together, we have 7 and plus streams of income, from real estate, speaking, income tax, business consulting. And that is one thing with the millionaires, and we're not millionaires just yet, but we will be. Millionaires have multiple sources of income. Their income is not solely derived from their job or from their investments. Normally, it's a combination of all of those. So, y'all ready? Okay, everyone's ready? Okay. Everyone's focused, laser focused. All right, let's watch just a small clip.
Borrowing boom, the strong U.S. economy fueling a record level of consumer debt. A report highlighted in the Wall Street Journal said Americans will carry more than $4 trillion in debt this year. But the good news so far, they aren't having any trouble managing it. He is on fire about this, the author of the upcoming book, Everyday Millionaires, Ramsey Solutions financial expert Chris Hogan. Chris, this has to make you crazy.
It really does, David. I mean, you look at this and you realize we're talking about $14 trillion in debt, $10 trillion in mortgage debt, and almost $4 trillion in credit cards, student loans, and car payments. And so this is alarming to me because it pushes us back toward crisis levels like we dealt with back in 2008.
What to do about it then? Are we going to change our habits? Is it going to be higher interest rates? Because rates have already gone up on a whole host of consumer debt because the Federal Reserve has been raising short-term interest rates. So if not now, when will we get our financial houses in order?
And I think it's really going to be important for Americans to really start to look at debt and understand how it works. You know, you were just talking about the credit card reward programs and trying to get consumers to spend more to be able to allow the banks and those institutions to make more money. I want Americans their money. Debt tries to separate you from your money. So I think it boils down to education and people getting fed up of being sick and tired of living paycheck to paycheck. Keep more of your money and grow it. That's what I want people to do.
This story is important enough, Matt. If you want to ask Chris something, but the journal highlighted it, the debt level among consumers.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally what many of the analysts feel it's essentially a sign of health, but I know what Chris is saying about the individual living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, my question for you, Chris, is how bad a problem right now, even compared to the others, even compared to 08, is the student debt part of it, and how much is that a drag? And even beyond, now you talk about obviously individuals' responsibility for their debt, but student debt is a slightly different kind of a thing since it ties to your college education as well. Is there a bigger solution of some kind for student debt, and how big a drag is that right now compared to other kinds of debt?
No, great question. I mean, student loan debt is a major issue. It's climbed to all new highs in the last 5 years. I think young people need to understand that higher education is a good thing, but you don't need to go higher into debt. Looking for scholarships, looking for grants, going to community college at night while you work during the day. There are ways to pursue it without signing on that dotted line, bringing yourself $40,000 to $50,000 into student loan debt.
Let's talk about financial resolutions, a big part of the new year for many. A new study from Fidelity shows that 74% of Americans were able to stick with their financial resolutions last year. Give us some ideas. Take us through your advice, Chris.
Well, I think whenever you're looking at it and talking about resolutions, I want you to get serious about it. So write them down. Don't be interested in your goals. Be committed to them. So write them down and keep them in front of you. I think, Dakin, too oftentimes we can get sidetracked and say we're interested in doing something in January, but come February, forget all about it. So write it down, put it in your phone, put it on your calendar, stay interested in it, and understand how budgeting, getting yourself out of debt, and starting to invest will put you on a whole nother level in 2019. I want people to make 2019 their best financial year ever. And it's only going to happen if they're serious about it.
What's your financial resolution, your personal one? Because we know you're not perfect.
Absolutely not. My resolution is to continue to save toward living my dreams, being able to give more.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so we'll just keep going. Okay, so that's the whole point of this, like you said, is to budget, pay off debt, and then start investing. We can't really look solely at investing before we start kind of just working what we do now. So by show of hands, does anyone have a budget? Okay. Does anyone consistently stick to the budget? Not really. We have all these plans, but we're actually not doing it. So I want you to pull your very first pamphlet. It's on the left side of your folder. So we're going to explore looking like versus actually building one. So this was a blog series that I did over the summer, and it really tackled kind of the mindset that you need, and we're all going to go through all of this. So number one is the first habit that can keep you in a cycle of generational poverty versus wealth is purchasing a vehicle every 2 years, 2 to 3 years. I get it. Everybody wants to look good, right? I really want that Kia Telluride. I think it's so cute, but it's just not in my goals right now, you know. And you'll see that people that constantly, trade in their cars, they have that balance that now gets tacked on to the next car, and that goes to the next, and it literally keeps you in this cycle over and over. Wealthy people, they typically hold on to cars up to like 10 years. A lot of time it's a used, it might even be a beater car, but it's reliable, and it's pushing them to their goals. All right, number two, and I think all of us at some point have done this, is that we spend so much on food. By show of hands, is food typically the budget breaker? Yeah, and y'all can talk. It's not just me. Yeah. Okay. What type of food? Is it like Starbucks? Is it just going through the drive-thru? Is it hanging out with friends? What is that one piece of the food budget that always tips your budget over every single month? All of the above. It's Starbucks, it's everything, okay?
Hanging out with friends.
Hanging out with friends, okay? Jazz is like hanging out with friends.
Eating out and everything.
Eating out,
Yeah.
Raymond. Eating out. Raymond.
Probably eating at work every day.
Eating.
Yes.
That's good. Yes. So you will see, and I put this in here, is that you have to start planning. Otherwise, your money will tell itself where to go. You'll drive by Starbucks and your money will be like, oh, let's go get a frappuccino. Let's go. You know, I worked hard all day. I deserve a good lunch. It's Friday. Let's do it. I deserve this for the week. I was on time every day. Let's do it. But food always, you know, and we're actually going to track our spending in a little bit. And we're going to go through our bank accounts to see how much food we actually spent or how much money we spent on food in September. And I bet it's going to be pretty alarming. And I get it. Everyone's budget has to work for you, but there has to be some discipline involved. So even if that means you give yourself one day a week where you go hang out with friends or one day to eat lunch, that's fine. You just don't want it to be every single day. How many people, maybe in the past month, you ate out or got something out every day of the week? Whether it was a Starbucks on Monday, Elisa's chicken on Tuesday. Maybe. Okay. Awesome. All right. Number 3, memberships you don't use, particularly gym memberships, Netflix, Hulu, all of those memberships, Amazon Prime. Now, some of them, like for us, Amazon Prime is a yes all the way. But gym memberships for me, I have learned over time that I do better by myself working out because I'll get a gym membership. I've even had a membership to Orange Theory paying $150 a month, and I went like, what a waste of money. That could have gone in my savings account, into an investment account, it could have paid off some debt. But no, I was like, I might go one day, right? That's the lie that we tell ourselves is that, but I might go. Be real with yourself. If you haven't gone to the gym in a while, let's just start walking the block. Okay? Let's do that. And then as the momentum builds, let's see if that's actually feasible. All right, number 4, vacations you can't afford. Oh my God, how many people in the past year have I seen on Facebook like, hey, I'm in Dubai. Hey, I'm at the Great Wall of China. Hey, I'm here. And honestly, the thing I always think is, did you charge that on credit? And a lot of times they did. It may not be your season to go to the Great Wall of China, and that's okay. I understand it's great to take breaks. We all need breaks, you know, quarterly is what we try to do because just to kind of get your mind off of that. But you have to do it reasonably. You know, if it's not time to do it, that's okay. You were just saying. You know, and the key indicator that you can't afford it is if you have to put it on credit. My husband and I blame this on my mother. She wanted for her 50th birthday to go to Hawaii. So as a child, I was like, oh yeah, you deserve it. You know how much that vacation was? It was $3,500, and we charged it. And we went, and we had a good time. But guess what? When we got back, we still had to pay for it. I was like, yeah, I don't think that was a very good decision. So a lot of times, you know, we have to be careful because we can validate anything, right? It's her 50th birthday. She only turns 50 once. Let's do it. But again, we came back to that bill that we had only paid down to $3,000. We were like, yeah, that probably wasn't the best decision. All right, number 5 is unnecessary clothing purchases. If you look, you will see that a lot of people with a poverty mentality, they got the Jordans, they look fresh all the time, right? Wealthy people could probably care less. They go to thrift stores. They wear the same things over and over. And not that they don't care how they look, because they always look very nice. They just don't care necessarily about the brand names and having the latest and greatest. So again, you can look really nice without having to spend so much. All right. So now that we know 5 habits that aren't the best thing to do. Now we're going to move on to the 5 habits that wealthy people have and what they do well that not only gains them wealth, but actually keeps them wealthy. So number 1 is money makes them money. That is the key. Whether their money is in an investment account, maybe it's parked in real estate, which we'll get into. If your money is just sitting in the bank, it's not making money. Moving money is what makes money. Okay? When you move it into real estate, move it into an investment account. When it's in an investment account, although it may go down, moving money over time typically accumulates more money. And that is what wealthy people do. They have multiple investment vehicles. Number 2, they own real estate. That's why my mom's here today. So she's a realtor. Not only is she a realtor, but her and my dad have purchased over the year 15 properties for personal use as well as for business use. And they have, over the years, really positioned themselves in an amazing way. And so she's here specifically if you guys have questions on how to even get in the housing market. I was able to buy my first house when I was 22 years old. My husband and I, when then got married, we bought another house. About 3 years later, we then bought another house, which is our current primary house, and then we bought an investment property. And we're in our early 30s. So you can do this at a very early age with very little down as long as you have the discipline to do it. And here's the thing, you have to remember, when you buy a house, you gotta pay rent somewhere. I mean, unless you're living at home. You gotta pay it somewhere, right? So you might as well be paying yourself, because if you go to sell, and let's say 2 to 3 years, you now get to keep that money. You can use that money to pay off debt, to do whatever you need to do. In our first house, that's exactly what we did. We sold the house, and we used part of the proceeds to go to our next house, and the rest, we paid off credit cards, and we paid off my car at the time, which was my husband's wife, Morano. So real estate is awesome. Focusing on the cash flow. What wealthy people do is they don't necessarily say, oh, I want the nicest house on the block, right? They want the house that's going to produce the most cash flow. How much can I rent it out for, and how much is it costing me? If it produces positively, even if it's $1, in the long term, it's still going to make them money. And that's the key. They just want to focus on making money. All right, number 3. Wealthy people invest in education and experiences. So that's why some people, and I'm kind of in the middle on this, why they tend to go to like Ivy League schools. It's not necessarily to get the education per se, but it's the other people that's going to be in their network. Now, you can still do the same thing if at UTA or anyone else, as long as you have that in mind. As long as you go into your schooling thinking that the people I'm around is my network, which may be my success, essentially you're going to get the same result. Does that make sense? All right, number 4, they know their personal net worth. Okay, wealthy people know what they own, they know who they owe, and we're going to do a little exercise here in a minute. Wealthy people, before they make a purchase, they always ask themselves, is this going to increase my net worth, or is it going to decrease? Remember, they're always focused on cash flow. So if they do decide to buy, let's say, a car that essentially decreases their net worth, they're gonna add something that's gonna make it balance. And number 5, they give. Wealthy people know that giving is key to success. Personally, my husband and I, we have always been tithers. We always tithe 10% or more of our income, and we pay ourselves too. So we'll tithe 10%, and we have just seen over time that really just comes back to us because it's a biblical principle. All right, so speaking of net worth, if you look on the other side of your folder, we are going to calculate your net worth. Okay, don't shake your head. Are you in the green? Which means that if something were to happen to you, how much, do you have $1? Yellow is, I don't have nothing, but I don't own it. Okay, so you're still kind of safe. And red is, I don't have anything and I owe everyone something. Okay, so what you're gonna do, you're going to list your assets at the top, okay? So, and take a few minutes if you need to log into accounts just to see what those balances are.
And be honest.
Be honest.
For your benefit.
We have all been there.
We're not turning in your sheets.
My husband and I were negative for a long time until we got serious about our finances. And then we were like, okay. Okay, so number one, you're gonna list your bank balances. If you own a home, the market value of the home. So that means what you would receive if you sold it. So not necessarily what you purchased it for, but what the approximate value is. Next, you're gonna write down the market value of your car. This is important because it's likely much lower than what you bought.
And what you owe.
And probably what you owe. That's just how cars work. That's why they do not benefit our network. They make you look good, but they don't benefit you. Okay, if you have a retirement account, you'll put that approximate value, and then your personal property. So that would be if you were to sell all your clothes, your furniture, how much would you get for it? Okay. Now, if you have a lot of hand-me-downs and stuff, you know, our insurance agent, he was trying to sell us on getting more home insurance for our valuables. I was like, I shop at the thrift store. If somebody broke in, they would be pretty upset. He was like, what about your TVs? And yeah, we got those on Black Friday for $199. So personal property, just depending on how much you buy, or it may not be that much. Okay, so you're gonna list all of your assets. I'm gonna do it too.
I see.
Yeah, that's perfect. And again, no mismatch. Your market value of your car, you can check that on Kelly Blue Book. I was pretty sad when I checked my husband's car. They said if we traded, we would get $585. I know, we're not trading that car. Mm-hmm. Okay, number two, listing your liabilities. So that's going to be pretty much anything that you owe. So if you have a mortgage, that would be a mortgage loan, your vehicle loan, how much you owe on your vehicles, credit card balances, student loans, personal loans. I owe you, if you owe anybody money too, like if you borrowed $20 from me, you got it. then you'll take your assets total minus the liabilities.
Set the liability minus the.
Yes, yep, so you'll just add all your assets up and then you'll subtract them from your liability. Now, the goal for sure is to be in the green. But if you're breaking even or red, that's okay. That's why you're here. Okay, anyone need help? And again, totally okay if you're in the room. Mr. President, that's why you're here. But you see why this is important. That's why you should do this, if not monthly, a couple times a year. For sure, anytime you make another large purchase, whether that's committing to any type of loans, which I definitely don't suggest. But buying cars, because typically when you buy a car, if you put that market value in the loan is probably going to be a lot greater than the market value. So you're automatically, your net value just did this. Yeah. Every time you buy a car. Take a couple of minutes.
Even if it's paid off, like.
So you would have zero under the vehicle loan, but then whatever the market value, so however much you would sell your car.
So,
Yeah, we buy it.
is it basically purchase as well as it's valued now?
What its value is right now. Yes. So if you're not sure, you can look on Caleb.B. Typically, it's going to be much lower than what you purchased, and lower depending on where you are in the loan of paying the car off. It could be lower there also. All right. Any millionaires in the building? Raise your hand. By your net worth. And when I say net worth, when people say that I'm a millionaire, it doesn't mean they have $1 million in the bank. It means their net worth is $1 million. So any millionaires in the building? All right. You can now all say you've met a millionaire. Don't say you don't know one. Some people have direct access to this millionaire every Sunday at church. Okay, tell us of your assets, which one is really driving your net worth up? Is it your cash? Is it the market value of your homes, your cars, your retirement, or your personal property?
Real estate, the home value.
So it's true. A lot of millionaires own real estate. Honestly, that's where the majority of millionaires' net worth comes from, is real estate. Okay? Anyone in the green? I'm in the green? Okay. Anyone just breaking even? No? Everybody else in the red. All right, that's okay. And that's okay. That's why we're here. That is why we're here. So before you make a large purchase, ask yourself, is this increasing or decreasing my net worth? People in poverty or with a poverty mindset, they just stay in this, like they're always decreasing. I read the statistic and it was talking about the disparity between different ethnicities and income. And it was showing that minorities were making more money, but our net worth is either stagnant or it's decreasing. So how can we be making more money, but our net worth be decreasing? What does that mean? What are we doing? Since we just did this little assignment, what does that mean? It means we're just spending more. We're increasing our credit card debt. We're increasing vehicle loans. And so that's why we're here to kind of flip that over. Any questions on calculating your net worth? Is this like an eye opener? Like, whoa, never saw from this perspective. A lot of people solely just focus on what's coming in and what's going out. What's coming in, what's going out, what's going in, what's going out. But really, the net worth is really where, this is really what we need to look at every single month.
I guess, for me, one of the challenges with this equation that probably I never considered is considering the property you own, which is not necessarily tangible cash or liquid, net worth, but it's more just, because I mean, you don't necessarily have to have the $1 million in your bank account, but if you own properties and you own investments that are valued at $1 million, but that's what your net worth is. I think oftentimes when we conceptualize like what does it mean to own or how much do you have, we always look at the liquidity of your money, but not considering that you could have properties or investments or stocks or something like that, mutual funds, and that also counts towards your assets, and then you subtract your liabilities, and then that equals your. I think that's one of the things that changed my mentality, my thinking style.
Yes, and it's so great that you said that, because yes, people often equate. When you think, oh, you're a millionaire, you think if they were to log into their bank account, they'd have all these zeros, right? Yes. But no, millionaires actually. We attended a investor meeting a couple of months ago, and I had people in there. And this guy is a millionaire. He said, "Chrystal, I literally have $1,500 in my bank account. That's it." He said, "I keep as little money as possible in my bank account." And he said, everything else is somewhere. He said, as soon as it comes in, I'm moving. It comes in, I'm moving. It comes in, I'm moving. He says, my goal is to keep as, and he was like, I think 1,500 is too much money. I was like, what? As soon as it comes in, he's moving. He's moving it into an investment account. He's moving it into property. And again, what I said earlier, money that moves makes money. If it's just sitting there, number one, if it's sitting there and it has a debit card attached to it, it's moving in the wrong direction. It's moving, it's just moving to Starbucks. And we ain't trying to increase Starbucks' net worth. We're trying to increase ours. But when you literally, as soon as it comes in, you move it to investment account, into real estate, and wherever it is, inevitably it's gonna make more money. It is. It's just gonna do that. Any other comments on your net worth? Say that again. It's red. That's okay. That's okay. A lot of people are in the red, but they don't know it. Now that you know it, now you're like, okay, now I'm really about to get serious about this budget that we're about to do. So that's why we do this first, so that you can really see, okay, this is where I really am. Now I have more momentum to get me from the red to the yellow to the green. Okay. All right. Questions, comments before we move on? No? Anyone need a break? Are we okay? We're good? All right, we're fired up. We're ready to get into the green. All right, so the mindset you need to produce well. So it's great. It's like, all right, I'm in the red. I'm a little bit more motivated to get myself together. First thing you need to do is you need to remove negative language register. This means just removing anything negative regarding finances. How many times have you said, and it doesn't have to be now, but previously, I'm always going to be broke. I never have any money. I'm always going to have student loans. I'm in debt up to my eyeballs. I'm always going to have a car payment. So I might as statements are ingrained in our minds and we really start believing it. So first thing we do, we really have to change how we talk, how we think to move more generationally instead of just in the now. All right, number 2, change your associates and environment. You might have to let go of some friends. If they're the ones always spending a whole lot of money. I remember in college where I knew they was using their student loan refund. They were at the club. This is in my unsafe day. They were at the club buying bottles and all kinds of stuff. Like, I'm using your refund check. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm gonna just join you. Don't do that. You need some new friends. Okay? Get around people like right now. People that are like, hey, this is an issue. Let's move it up. That's totally fine. Number 3, begin thinking wealthy. I love Dave Ramsey's statement. He says, live like no one else, so later you can live like no one else. So that might mean, hey, maybe you need to go trade your car in for a beater for a little bit. And think about this. If you can sacrifice 5 years for 50 years, if you just sacrifice now and for 5 more years, or maybe 10 years for the rest of your life, that's the thinking that I want you to leave here with. If I sacrifice just these 5 years with knocking out debts, with building my wealth, and building my real estate portfolio, my stocks, I can literally change the next 50 years of my life. Most people don't want to do that, right? Because we live in this very convenient, I want it now, society. And so it's literally the opposite of that. They're like, well, let me have it now and then I'll pay it off later. Yeah, but later never comes, and you're just in this cycle of just paying, and now you're just working to pay bills. You're working to pay bills, to drive the car. You drive to work in the fancy car to pay for it, and you drive home. So you just do this your whole life. Number 4, that brings us to embrace delayed gratification. It's not only going to keep you out of debt, but it's going to save you money in the end. Just because you can afford something on paper doesn't mean that you actually can afford it or that you need it. A lot of people, and I know a lot of people here in the medical and business field, you're likely making, you're making according to, society, you're very well off. But that doesn't mean that you should go out and buy that Range Rover. Or you should go out and buy that $1 million house. It may just not make sense for you right now. Number 5, read. Wealthy people, they read at least 1 book per week. Something else, things like this. This is taking that step toward wealth generation. Surrounding yourself in classes, seminars, YouTube videos. There's YouTube University out there, right? So you can learn things even for free. And that's the step that we take. Mom, is there anything that you have done over the years that you are in the Millionaire Club right now? What are some things that you have done over time that has helped to not only produce, but to sustain wealth?
Let me just start by saying that I pretty much started like you did. You're probably not worse. With, at a very young age, credit card debt, at a very young age, filed bankruptcy twice. I had it all because I wanted it all, and I wanted it right then. So that delayed gratification, that was not in my vocabulary at all. So I wanted it, and I got it. So been there, done that. The friends, I was probably that friend you didn't want to be around. I was her. I was her. But as you get older, you got wiser, and you guys are so blessed to get this kind of information at such a young age and do something with it. If it was available for me at a young age, I didn't know about it. I wasn't around those people that did. I was around people who did what I did, and I just tried to do it better than they did. So, but again, as time went on, I got into real estate. And one thing I did know is, first of all, we were hard workers. My family, I grew up as my family-owned business, my parents. So we understood the value of hard working. But again, no matter how much we made, we were still constantly spending it. So we never, and when I say we, I mean my siblings, we never really saw wealth. We saw stuff. We had a whole lot of stuff, but we didn't have any wealth or anything. So I did go into real estate, and that kind of opened up my eyes a little bit to understanding real estate wealth. So I started down that path of, I knew the importance of owning your own home. That was the key, is owning my own home very early. Getting out of that rental market, you know, flushing that money down the toilet, no. Even, I understood that even if I didn't have any money left over, paying my mortgage, it was still a savings. My mortgage was the actual savings. Every time I paid a mortgage, it was like a savings. And it did work. I maintained, I was able to turn one property into, multiple properties over time. And I never really had a whole lot of money at one time. The bulk of money I got came from real estate sales. And then we're able, because I could never say, and I don't think anyone really could ever save faster than what the economy is moving. So that's why it's so important to invest in real estate, because Chrystal, she used her example. She lived in her first house for 2.5 years, maybe 3 years.
I think the first one for the second.
Okay, so she lived in her home 4 years. In 4 years' time, her equity was about 50.
The first one was 30, and the second one was 75.
Right. 75.
So in 7 years, we had $100,000 tax-free.
Tax-free. So that's $100,000 in 7 years. She could not have saved $100,000. I've never saved $100,000 in 7 years, or 10 years, or 20 years. But real estate did that for you. It will do it for you. And that is where, again, the bulk of our wealth came from, is just investing in real estate and then taking that money over time, okay? And there is, trust me, there is no quick fix. There is no get rich. There may be a get rich, but it's not a get wealth quick. Wealth comes over time. So it's a matter of holding the property, maintaining it, and then turning it over in a different market and going from one to another. So that's kind of where the bulk of our wealth came from. And then we started learning, and I learned, what she's teaching, I learned it very later in life. I didn't save well for my daughter, but fortunately I was smart enough to invest in real estate. So I didn't have this big, child savings account for when she was born, and then by the time she's 18, she could draw. No, I didn't have that. But I did have some real estate that was able to subsidize her college fund, as well as other things. And then later, it gave us retirement income, etc. And then getting out of debt. We were really adamant about not holding debt. My husband more so than me. He just didn't like going to people ever. Me, I was one of those. I wanted a car all the time. I wanted a car. So we had 5 cars on one payment. Guess whose payment it was? Because we made that payment until I got smart, and I was like, why am I making this car note payment? Never really bought. I never bought brand new. I did a couple times, bought cars, but for the most part, always used cars, just because it's smarter to do it. But I was carrying a note, and it was, probably not until maybe 10 years, I'd say 10 years ago. But I was like, why am I carrying a note? This is ridiculous. When I could easily just buy within my means at the time, or save for whatever. So all of that, long story short, really just the real estate, definitely. It helped us to grow our accounts, our bank accounts. We do keep a little more than 1,500 in our accounts, but we still take a lot in investing. So we don't hold a whole lot, but we do hold enough because we do have other expenses that we have to be mindful of. So when you're holding property, then you can possibly have expenses there. But again, we do try to channel out as much as possible. Yeah, as much as possible in different ways. We more of a relaxed type. We loan our money out to make money.
Absolutely. All right, so this concludes the first hour, which is pretty much all informational. Now, we're moving to the other side of the binder. So we are going to do a spending analysis. We're going to take a 5-minute break. However, when we come back, we're going to analyze our September purchases. So if you guys can have your bank transactions from your banking app. If you don't have the app and you need a computer to log in, we have some extra computers here, so let me know. So let's meet back at 11:01, which is 5 minutes. Yep, and if you need the Wi-Fi code, we can get that also. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to work that.
Did you get DJ back?
Yeah.